Welcome to episode 28 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and hello, folks, on this sort of slightly gloomy and cold day in the late September, early October. We are here to talk about professional wrestling on this professional wrestling podcast of insanity. Well, and here's my co-host, Sal Cusmano.
What's up, guys?
And Sal will be doing the Iron Man today, and that is a term of Iron Manning 2 podcast. He will also be on later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Two Guys, One Sport with Chris and Curtain Jerker.
Yes, I will. Come and hang with us later tonight at 9. I'll be talking about my experience at Evolve 92 there. So for those of you expecting it on here, well, I'm going to give you guys the runaround. Sorry about that.
Also, if you're expecting any major rants, there may be a few of them on this edition of the show, but he's saving all the good stuff for Two Guys, One Sport.
Yep, I'm like Hiromu. I'm a ticking time bomb, a time bomb that is not set to detonate until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Yep. So this will basically be sort of a usual fare of Wacky World of Wrestling this week, where Sal is the mellow one and I'm the crazy, insane one, as always.
Yes. Or at least that's what we wanted it to be usually, because for the past couple of weeks, I've just been a ball of anger and misery. So, and, you know, it'll be nice to be far more mellow. And speaking of mellow, you know, we need to talk about a few things. Let's start out with No Mercy. You want to start with No Mercy, or should we talk about how Goedo blew a 10-1 lead?
Let's do the sumo thing first, because that's quick.
Oh, yes. So, Fizzy, you remember the whole Cavs thing, how the Cavs started the whole X blew a 3-1 lead. Then it went to the Warriors because they did it the next year against the Cavs. And now it's back. And then it went to the Indians because they blew it to the Cubbies. I'm sure that'll make our friend George happy.
And then the world of sumo, Goedo decided to top them all. He had a 10-1 lead going into the last 5 days of the basho. And then he proceeded to blow it.
Yep. And for those who don't know how sumo works, it's like we've said before, it's kind of like a round robin. It's like a not true round robin because they don't all face each other once. They only face 15 other people once, but it's close enough to a round robin that I call it that. And Goedo had a 3-win lead and was at 10-1. He needed to win basically one more match, and he would have won the tournament. He proceeded to win. He proceeded to lose and lose and lose. He finished 11-4. So he actually needed to win 2 more, but he needed to win 2 more in 5 days and was like 10-1. So it was doable. He failed miserably and dropped the tournament.
Because on the last day, he lost to, aforementioned, Haruma Fuji.
The one Yokozuna remaining. A guy who was down, who a lot of people said he's probably out of it around day 10 because he had so many losses. Goedo, I mean...
Goedo had the basho in hand. Haruma Fuji, however, decided, I am going to climb out of this hole and I am going to destroy every single person remaining in this basho to tie it up with Goedo.
Yeah, and then get the win in the playoff match because they were tied at 11-4 on the last day, and that's how sumo works. If you're tied, you go into a playoffs.
And Goedo was completely scared out of his mind because he has a losing record against Haruma Fuji.
Yep, and, well, he lost.
Again.
Again, yes, because Haruma Fuji, as the one Yokozuna remaining, decided to be the responsible adult of the tournament.
Nobody else is going to win this thing. Might as well be me.
Yep. I mean, and for those who don't remember, let me break this down. 7 Sekitori, which is the term used for top division sumo wrestlers, they were at least partially out of the tournament or completely out of the tournament. Those included 3 Yokozuna, 2 Ozeki, and like 3
Megashira wrestlers.
Yep. 3 Megashira wrestlers. It was there were so many bodies missing from this tournament.
Mhm.
Hakuho, Kiseno Sato, Kakuryu, Takayasu, Teruno Fuji, Aoyama, Ura, and Sadanomi.
Mhm. Yep.
7 people got injured. That's why your winner could go. That's why someone could win at 11-4, because usually in a tournament you need at least what, 13-2.
12 wins usually net you the basho.
Yeah, at least 12. Sometimes it's even harder than that. So
Mhm.
to get it with only 11, that goes to show you what a crazy tournament this was.
And that by the end of the final 5 days, there were at least 10 Rikishi remaining that could have legitimately won this basho.
Yes, normally by that time you have like 2 or 3.
Mhm.
And, it was a good tournament for the young guys, though.
Mhm.
I mean, you had guys like Asanoyama, who was Fizzy's pick to win it, or did you have him as your runner-up?
I had him as my runner-up.
Well, he was one-off runner-up. He finished 10-5.
Mhm. And Sal's pick Onosho also went 10-5.
Yep. And they both shared the Fighting Spirit Award, which is one of the 3 special prizes. Fun fact for all you guys, though, Onosho was only the second ever sumo wrestler to have 3 consecutive winning records upon their debut in Makuuchi, which is the top division.
Mhm.
The other one is Hakuho. He is also the first sumo wrestler to ever, upon his debut in Makuuchi for his first 3 tournaments, have double-digit winning tournaments. He's gone 10-5 in each of his first 3.
Mhm. Now, this is in recent sumo history, and I feel as though that is a very interesting mark to reach. We'll see how he does from here, because now he's going into the Winter Basho, and by the way, he's now in one of the top ranks of
Yep.
Megashira.
I know. I mean, part of me isn't really too worried because he was Megashira 3 this tournament. I mean,
Yes.
he was placed up against a lot of these people early. He beat Haruma Fuji, who was the guy who won the tournament. I mean,
Mhm.
I have a lot of faith in his capabilities, but you never know.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe his rise has been too fast and he could go tumbling back down. We don't know.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. There is a ton of individuals right now that are coming back from injury, and there's a ton of hungry young guys coming in to make this Winter Basho a literal winter bloodbath.
Yes. And there's also a few other people we need to praise for their results. Koto Shigeku's one of them. A guy who I was wondering, does he still have it? Can he still go? Have been on a constant demotion streak. Well, he shut me up. He went 10-5.
Mhm. And was one of the reasons why Anosho wasn't involved in the playoff, because he ran into the wall known as Koko Shigeru.
Yeah. Which is a shame, but meh. Costing my guy the win. Another guy who I gave a lot of crap was Daishomaru. I'm pretty sure when we were previewing this tournament, I said the one cool thing about this guy is his name. Well, he also told me to shut up and went 10-5.
He went 10-5. He did the metaphorical shut up thing, which is the most effective method, I feel, in the whole sumo world. If you want to silence your critics, well, start crushing people in the ring.
Yep. Go 10-5. It'll shut me up instantly. Someone else who answered my questions about him was Takanoiwa. Because he went 6-9 last tournament, but started 0-7 and then got hot late. I wondered what Takanoiwa was going to show up. Turned out the same Takanoiwa, just kind of in reverse. He finished 8-7. He started 4-0, dropped like 3 or 4 in a row. Actually, I can bring this up right now. Dropped 2 in a row, then won 3, lost 1, won 1, and then dropped his last 4. He was a guy who got hot early, stumbled a little bit, got hot in the middle, and then just stumbled for pretty much the rest of the tournament. So I thought he had a good rebound tournament and going 8-7. I'm going to wonder again, which one shows up next tournament?
Probably the one that is consistently decent or average, maybe another 8-7.
Yep. Some other Ichinojo actually had a good tournament again. Where is he? Yeah, he went 8-7 again. I can never get my head around that guy.
And as far as the Juryo demotions go, Tokushiro, I believe Ashura is also being demoted to Juryo, and I think some of the other guys in the lower ranks are getting demoted, like
Yeah,
Sadanome.
yeah, Yoda Kiyama's going down. He's 4-11.
Mm-hmm.
Nishikigi, do you think 6-9 at East 13 will send him down, or do you think he'll just be right on the bubble?
I think he'll be on the bubble.
Yeah. See, that's always the hard thing, deciding who the hell's going down and
Well, usually there's only 4 spots available for promotion, and usually there'll be 4 promotions, and then there'll be a bunch of demotions. 4 promotions, 4 demotions, unless things are weird or people have injury pullouts and that they need to bring somebody else into the ranks or something. So I think there'll probably be maybe 4 or 5 Rikishi next basho that will be new to the basho or returning.
All right. And there's one more big question I have to ask you, Fizzy.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to Kakuryu?
He will try to compete in this basho, I think, this time around because he will be recovered from his injuries. If he has a good score, he will remain Yokozuna. If he has a bad score, he will retire.
Yep. Because here's the thing, for those who don't know, his past 3 tournaments, 1 4-10 withdrew due to injury, 2-11 withdrew to injury, 0-15 didn't even compete due to injury.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't get healthy, oh boy. You know, because I had heard there was some talk like he had to do good this tournament or he could face retirement. So I'm not sure if this was his last swan song or maybe they'll give him one more reprieve. Like, dude, if you got to compete next time or you're done.
I think that they're letting him have a repeat because also Kasuna Sato was out and Hakuho was out as well. So they had to do the reprieve in the situation of the Aki Basho. And Haruma Fuji saved the Yokozuna's honor by winning this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I got to hand it to him. The dude stepped up big in the second half of the tournament. I mean, let's see if I can find this. Yeah, he won 9 of his last 10 tournaments. Or of his last 10 bouts. I mean, the dude was really shaky early on. He went 2-3 to start. So, you know, he stepped up big to get the win. I mean, then we had to talk about Teruno Fuji, who's getting demoted.
He's going to be Fizzy Wacky next basho.
Yep, 1-5-9. Do you think he gets 10 wins?
I think he gets 10, maybe gets 10 wins next basho, possibly, if things go his way.
Yep. If they don't, well, he's in the Koto Shigeku situation.
So all in all, the Wacky Aki Basho, very strange basho. I did not, like I said last episode, I did not think that this basho was going to be as strange as it was going to be, guys. I mean, I said it was going to be a weird basho. I didn't think it would be actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, like when we said strange, we didn't think, oh yeah, 5 of the top 7 wrestlers, 5 of the top 7 sumo wrestlers are going to be out due to injury. This is what we expected.
Yeah. And also several other wrestlers getting knocked out of the tournament due to injury, like Takayatsu and Ura.
Yeah, we didn't expect this. We didn't want this. But, you know, stuff like this happens. And, you know, credit to Haruma Fuji for, you know, making it and being able to pull off the win. Credit to the young guys like Onosho and Asanoyama for doing very good. Credit to old guys like Koto Shigeku for doing really good.
And Yoshikaze, who was one of the great Sekiwaki stories in this basho.
Yep. He actually finished 8-7 when it looked like he might not. So, you know, the wall was not very good this tournament.
Yeah. The wall let the young guys in and decided to slam on most of the higher ranked wrestlers.
I know it was weird. It was like the wall was just like, I guess the best way to put it is like the wall was kind of like your grandparents. You know, they're really cool to you, but they always give your parents crap. That's the best way I can put it.
So we have ourselves here the so that was the Aki Basho, and now we will focus our attention on No Mercy, the WWE latest pay-per-view show extravaganza for the Raw brand of WWE. Well, and yes, you might have noticed the title. Yeah, we're going to talk about that match last. So starting things off, I watched a little bit of the pre-show with Elias and a cruise just to see the finish. It was an okay match. Sal missed the pre-show.
Yep. I mean, I did see a very brief replay of it when I was turning it on. I mean, from the replays, what I saw of the match, it looked okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's Elias Sampson, or Elias as they're now calling him, because Antonio Langston needs a third name.
Actually, no, isn't it like Antonio, Langston, Alexander, Sampson? I'm pretty sure there's one more. Oh, Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the name is, however you want to arrange it. Yes, he needed the fifth name.
Mm-hmm. So after that free show match where Elias is continuing his musical tour of doom, we then begin proper with, oh joys, a match with Jason Jordan and Miz in it.
Hey.
I know Miz is your fave, man, but this match was an unfortunate slog of two different stories, two different philosophies about professional wrestling. You want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I actually kind of like this match. I mean, look, it wasn't anything special, but I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to kick off the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, Miz getting the pop of all pops, that gave me so much life.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Although I think I saw Miz's face when that pop happened, and he was like, oh no.
I mean, here's the thing, I just like, I feel bad for Jason Jordan. I've said this on Twitter. I want Jason Jordan to work. Mm-hmm. I want him to succeed. I've said this numerous times on this show before. I was a huge alpha mark. Fizzy, you can back me up on that.
Yeah, I remember you being a huge alpha mark. Were you a huge mark for Gable or a huge mark for Jordan? No.
I was a huge mark for both of them. I mean, I will say I feel like if they really had to do this, then the better choice for the Kurt Angle Sun thing would have been Chad Gable, mainly because Raw typically relies on your promo skills. Mm-hmm. Far more than SmackDown. SmackDown's more, in-ring wrestling stuff. Mm-hmm. Gable was always the better promo out of the two. That's not a knock on Jordan. He's a great wrestler, and he can talk. He can show goofy charisma. Mm-hmm. But let's all be fair here. Gable was the better talker.
Mm-hmm. But Gable was also fortunate to miss out on this Kurt Angle illegitimate son angle, which,
I know.
Look. He's so thankful that he's so short that he was missed by Vince and company and everybody involved that wanted, let's do an illegitimate son angle again. Those never backfire.
Yes, those never backfire, except for when they do. Hello, Hornswoggle.
Well, that's because...
Although I'm trying to think, is Hornswoggle better or worse than Ken Kennedy, who it was supposed to be? I'm honestly leaning better.
To an extent better, because he had a longer shelf life in WWE than Kennedy did, which he got released because he once again botched and nearly injured Batista and also failed yet another drug test.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that is so weird that Hornswoggle is a better option than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't really have much of a roster back in 2006, 2007 because of all of the insanity with ECW, SmackDown, and all this other stuff. Everybody who was picked up by the WCW contract thing was getting older, and the young guys, well, they didn't really have a very good developmental system back then, and some may say they still don't really have a good developmental system now, but again, I need to go fortify my house because the pitchforks and torches from the NXT brigade will probably be showing up soon.
Yep. Here, I can send you some of my building materials from all the angry people who have tried to come after me.
Well, I have fortification shields and have wrestled. I have proofed my house for wrestlers.
But yes, I actually kind of enjoyed this match. I think, I have no idea what the hell is going on with JJ. I feel bad. I mean, he's still putting out some great match work and stuff. He's just not a really good promo.
Mm-hmm. I'm so happy to be here. Oh, joy. Let me read off my cue card. I proved that The Miz sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's just bad.
I mean, it's like, I was like, okay, who's doing this promo here? Jason Jordan or an answering machine?
Yeah. It's not good, and I want him to succeed. I mean, I think part of it is that the fans won't accept him no matter what, which I don't get. I mean, you have to remember, even when they first started this, they were already against him, which I don't get. I mean, and this really goes back into the whole, I I don't know what the fans want anymore. Like, I guess you could say with Roman, they wanted their own guy. They didn't want someone WWE chose, which WWE chooses who they push anyway, and so it doesn't really matter. But let's say they really wanted that. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted a guy who, let's say they wanted someone like a Daniel Bryan, someone who they like and that WWE wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Jordan checks both of those boxes because WWE utterly wasted him and Chad Gable on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you want?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's my question.
I mean, here's the thing when it comes to American Alpha. They were on one of the best brands for that particular brand of cornball comedy to succeed with that team. They were on the college show brand. They were in Full Sail University, which has a college atmosphere because it's a college. So they had the ability to succeed in this area because of the environment that they were in. The main roster stages is in random arenas all across the United States and in some parts of Britain when they telecast and all over the world. It's a different environment and it's a different atmosphere than what they're used to. The generalized fan audience in all of these different states have varieties of different opinions and thought processes about the world of professional wrestling. And none of them can agree on anything.
I feel like that's the issue. No, like, I agree what they do want. That's beyond, and ultimately they only give reactions to what they don't want. So we keep pushing that because, hey, that's the thing that's actually getting a unified response, a unified voice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, for instance, John Cena suddenly getting unified cheers because he's going up against the beloved Roman Brutus. All that situation of they have the feeling that, I've seen a lot of commentary about it, and I've seen a lot of people's different thoughts and opinions about the whole fans this, fans that. I'm like, dude, I watch these shows on the television. I go to live events at independent wrestling shows. I've never gone to a WWE house show or WWE TV taping. I've never been in that environment before. All I know about the WWE environment is from the comfort of my own home, where I have access to the greatest, most powerful tool to shut an audience up, the mute button.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people don't really like him.
Mm-hmm.
The fans, I don't want to say they're cast members because, good Lord, that would be stupid. I'm looking at you, TNA, and who was it, Bob Ryder?
Mm-hmm.
Who said that? I think so. Yeah, that was stupid, man. But this thing, I wonder, like, it's kind of hard to push people when you don't know what to give the fans what they want.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like what they want would be the public execution of John Cena. They would then cheer, and then they would wonder, well, where do we go from here? And that's always the biggest question is, where do we go from here? And this match with Miz and Jason Jordan illustrates one of the many issues that many meta issues and weird issues and this issue and that issue, because Jason Jordan is the pure athlete type of wrestler. He's very popular on the West Coast. He's very popular in college towns like Full Sail University, the athletic wrestler who can carry a match with the heel wrestler. The Miz is a classic 80s style heel wrestler who's also taken tendencies from the 1970s, 60s, and 90s era of heel wrestlers because that's what he grew up with. Yeah. So we have a situation here. We have a clash of contrasts. Now, normally, the athletic wrestler carries the athletic portion of the match, and the heel wrestler does the bits where he gets the crowd invested into the face wrestler even more so. So we have a situation where we have The Miz, who had basically a paint-by-the-numbers match. Now, The Miz has been exceeding himself in his ring work over the last year or so. However, Miz is now running into one of the more interesting statistical phenomenons that I've been researching. What happens to a professional wrestler when they conceive a child? The Miz is now part of that study, along with Brian Cage. What happens when you conceive a child? Suddenly, you no longer have testosterone because, well, you've been busy conceiving a baby at this point. And I do wish them well with their kids and also wish well Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett, who are also expecting a child. Dear Jesus, it's baby season. It's like
well, I'm going to ask this. What else do those two have to do? They're never on TV or whatever,
I mean, it's understandable in Mike Bennett's case
yeah.
because, of course, like we mentioned before, Mike Bennett is currently going for rehab because of a painkiller addiction. Once again, we wish them all the best in their efforts to get Mike Bennett healthy in this situation. And in The Miz's case, because since he's an active wrestler and since Daniel Bryan was basically semi-retired, now Miz is in this study, and the past history when it comes to wrestlers who have conceived children is usually the wrestler has a down year afterwards. Triple H, common example of this. He had a down year after having several kids. Magnus from TNA, he had a massive down year after he conceived kids with Mickie James. And the only one who has managed to buck this trend of wrestlers is Michael Elgin, who suddenly became awesome and had one of the best G1 runs of his life when his wife was 9 months pregnant at the time.
Yep. And that's why I think Miz is going to be number 2, because Miz cannot be defied. He is too great for that.
Mm-hmm. Although it almost, unfortunately, this match almost literally sucked the life out of the arena because it just was so paint by the numbers. I mean, for me, I watched until the 22-minute mark, and I was like, good God, this match is still going? Jason Jordan is a good babyface, but he's an even better heel. And The Miz, he was getting cheers. Yeah. The Miz was getting cheers at the Staples Center in California.
Yeah, that's because... you know, he's over. I don't know why he's over. I mean, again, my best guess is he sort of fits the Daniel Bryan mold. He's someone who they feel WWE is wasted.
And Daniel Bryan's pear tree in the middle of Arizona is suddenly on fire because you just compared it to The Miz.
I know it sounds weird, but hear me out, everyone. I know this is weird, but like that's the thing. I guess that's the biggest thing to getting over in WWE. Be wasted by WWE. And at least be somewhat decent in ring. Why this hasn't worked for The Miz, not The Miz, but Jason Jordan, I have no idea.
It's because they don't want the athletic jock. They want the working class hero. They don't like these athletic jock characters or these obnoxious young, Silicon Valley Facebook investor type people, young whiz kids who start up these companies when they're 19 years old and do all this kind of other stuff. Yep. They're getting more and more angry, the general 18 to 34 audience at these particular 18 to 49, I should say, audience at these particular individuals because they are having success and they're not.
Yep. And we're also getting mad at people who decide to sell tents and aim them at business people. Did you see that?
Tents.
Yes, they call it the pause pod. George retweeted something on it, and then I got into it, and I'm like, holy crap! Like you remember those little like pop-up play tents you'd have as a kid?
Yeah.
Think of something like that. Only the sole thing that it's advertised for is so you can go in it either at home or at work, and like shut yourself out to the outside world for a bit. It even has a leg compartment you can like push out so you can sleep in it. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, they're trying to tell me to bring that to work? I would look like an asshole. It's hilarious, and it costs $200.
Why would I waste $200 on a tent when I can just buy a tent at a thrift store for $5 to $10 and put it outside?
That is a good question, and it's probably one the inventors and the people who came up with this idea never thought of.
Well, the inventors are kind of screwy individuals. They always come up with these weird different ideas. Some of them work, and other times it's like, oh my God, you've set everything on fire.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I think it's telling that they had to go to Kickstarter to get it funded, which, although it did manage to like more than do like, I think it was like 9 times its goal. So, I mean, I have no idea who the hell wants this.
I'm still trying to wrap my brain about who wants this tent thing that I will probably look up after the show. So
douchebags.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. The hipsters are one of the groups of individuals who have taken over WWE because they have a disposable income, because a large number of the lower working class individuals do not have the disposable income anymore to support professional wrestling because of how the economy has been lately. So the hipsters take over the arenas, and they start randomly doing their drunken chantings and stuff because apparently nobody can card anybody at these events.
Either that or they always get people who know how to make really good fake IDs.
Yes. There's also that market that's also always helping. I mean, people who stub tickets and people who make fake IDs are common sights at stadiums around the big cities.
Of course they are. But yes, I mean, there is an issue in that, everyone knows what they don't want. Like you said, like we said, everyone knows what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want.
I mean, I know what I want. I mean, I'm thinking right now, I'm going, well, since I've seen all of these different, if I was in an arena, I'd go, pick my seat, go get some fries, a soda, and just relax. That's what I want. That's basically like, for example, what I made for dinner last night, I made pasta because that's what I wanted to make.
Oh yeah, of
Simple,
course.
easy choice.
I'm talking about the WWE audience at large. I mean, they don't know who they want.
Do you want the Roman Reigns with cheese, or do you want the John Cena salad?
Yeah, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they know they don't want Roman as top guy, which fine. You know what? I am more than fine with that if that's really what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly kind of, like I said, I'm kind of turning on the guy, although they're putting him in a feud with Miz to test me on this, which good job, WWE. You just had to do that. You really had to test me on this. Fucking hell. I feel like I'm part of like this is the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, tested on my fucking faith.
I mean, I feel like this is Roman Reigns as Kratos, and he's slaying each and every one of the Olympic gods. First Undertaker, then John Cena, now The Miz.
Oh, jeez. No, I think this is really just serving to get a Shield reunion because obviously we can't have Seth and Dean doing their own thing, which I was enjoying. They have to put them all back together, even though we don't need that.
Although when we get to the match itself, I think it is an understandable reason for that. Next up on our match list, though, is Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, the second match.
Yep. I'm going to give my pithy little review right now because it is very short. I refused to watch this match out of principle because it involved Bray Wyatt. Instead of watching this match, I was looking up a Japanese curry recipe. Looking up that Japanese curry recipe gave me far more enjoyment than anything else.
So that leaves me to cover this match, which, surprise, surprise, folks, I enjoyed this match once again. I know this is freaky for me, too, because normally I'm not a big fan of Feeney McBrogue and his matches. Bray Wyatt has brought out the best of Finn Balor, or whatever you say his last name. This was a wonderful match of contrasts. We have a situation here where Finn Balor is finally starting to develop his character. Yes, Finn Balor has a character now, which is surprising. So, in this storyline situation, Finn goes into the ring with Bray in it. He does his little dance and entrance and then gets blindsided by Bray Wyatt, who then proceeds to chuck him into a wall. Finney hurts his arm, and then Bray gets on the microphone and proclaims, "Well, you're just a man. You're just a coward. You're just a coward." And then Finney gets angry about being called a coward and proceeds to enter the ring and tries to beat the living bejesus out of Bray Wyatt. So this match went back and forth with two different philosophies. Much like the last match where Jason Jordan was about physical finesse versus technical deviousness, this match was the high-flying Finn versus Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds. Naturally, Bray is trying to wear down Finn's human form so that he could potentially take over Finn's demon form because, again, this is a guy who eats worlds and more specifically eats demons. The Undertaker's soul, Kane's soul, and the souls of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan have all been consumed by this literal devourer of worlds. This match was an example of that, where he was once again trying to get Finn further and further into the dark side, which reflected his ring gear, which was pure light side. We now have a difference of personalities. This version of Finn Balor is a character that wants to do things the honorable babyface way. Although he still does the traditional Bullet Club gun hand sign thing, which, again, Finn might want to step away from that a little bit because there's a current apocalypse going on between your former friends at the Bullet Club and WWE, which we'll get to just in a sec here. The match overall was a really fun, fast-paced match, which was enjoyable for me personally to watch. I know that people are getting really aggravated about the fact that Bray Wyatt is continuing to exist, but again, Regardless of what Bray has done via promo work or mic work, I still enjoy his rambling, insane community theater-esque promos because that's Bray Wyatt. That is who he is. And I personally enjoy him for that. And he actually managed to get a very good feud out of Finn Balor. Now, whether this feud continues or Finn Balor gets, well, sacrificed to the beast incarnate, we'll have to see to believe. Because I feel as though that will be an interesting match in of itself. And besides, Brock won't have to chuck around 385 pounds this time. He'll only have to chuck about 190.
Yeah. I saw someone talking. I saw Dance talking about it on Twitter. He's not looking forward to seeing Finn as the Demon getting beaten by Brock. You know, that's who they're finally going to give the Demon to. And I mean, I don't know why they're going to do it. That way, when Roman slays Brock, you know, there you go. He slayed the guy who slayed everyone, which... If they don't really think, you know, if they don't think we don't see through that, then WWE really is stupid and really does think we're idiots. Like, I know they don't care what we think about Roman, but at the same time, it sucks. And this is my personality. I always feel like you should at least keep one person as a sort of fail-safe, sort of a backup, a contingency plan. They never do. They never do. They always only keep one person.
Well, they've tried to do the backup contingency plan thing, but unfortunately, it's the backup contingency plan that gets himself injured or in trouble with law enforcement. Hello, Seth.
I don't even know why they don't just keep, like, Braun as a backup contingency plan. Why they had him lose to 1F5, you know? I mean, I know why WWE did that. I'm just arguing that why they did that was stupid.
Well, you know, in this situation, Finn is now the latest person that will potentially challenge the Brock Lesnar. And Brock will have an enjoyable Irish Jimmy John sub made from the bones of Vinnie McBrogue.
Yeah. Well, we're actually going to have to wait a little bit for that because Finn is somehow still not done with Bray Wyatt.
Oh, goody. He still has to feud with Bray Wyatt. That's a relief. I think it's probably just a build for Survivor Series, though, because, they have TLC, right?
Yeah, they have TLC. Is that before? I think that's after Survivor Series, though, isn't it?
No, that's before Survivor Series.
Oh, okay, because it's usually a December show, I thought. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, they moved it to October because they wanted to have another show in October besides the SmackDown pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. 2 Halloween horrors for the price of 1, kids. Because we have Hell in a Cell featuring Shane and Kevin Owens and what I've affectionately started calling TLA. Tables, ladders, and Asuka.
But yeah, that whole Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, I could still probably get a ticket to that. I'm pretty sure I'll be working that day. Although I don't know yet. Still have to figure all that out. But that's another time. I could go to that if I wanted to. I just don't know if I want to.
Well, going to the nice, shiny Little Caesars Elite Arena?
That would be my main reason for going. I mean, I've seen pictures of the Little Caesars Arena. It looks amazing. I mean, I've seen some stuff from it, some video and some photos. The new arena looks absolutely stunning. I mean, they did a good job with it, which I'm glad they did, considering it was half funded by my fucking taxes.
So go enjoy the wonderful little arena half funded by your taxes, and of course the various different gifts and amenities that we'll probably give to try and attract people to this event, like free pizza.
Yes, because $5 is still too much, apparently. I mean, no, that's seriously the whole gimmick behind Little Caesars. I don't know if they still do it worldwide, like, you know, nationwide, yes. Worldwide. Okay. Because I remember way back when that was only like a limited time thing. Way back when in like, what, 2004 when they started the promotion, I want to say. Yeah. But it took off really well, and now that is their whole thing. And God bless Little Caesars for that.
But one person who probably won't be eating solid food for a while is Mr. Cesaro as we get to our next match, which is the tag team match, which we will then announce. Is there a dentist in the house? I think that somebody needs some dental work done.
Good man Miz will hook up Cesaro with his emergency team of dentists. You remember that, right? When Miz got his tooth knocked out by AJ way back when, and Miz and his emergency team of dentists. My God, that was awesome. Just like how Miz handled that whole thing. But yes, I mean, I love this match. It was really brutal, really violent, really back and forth. I mean, it got too brutal at points. I mean, you know, a guy lost teeth and was bleeding in the ring. And then they proceeded to keep wrestling for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
But the match itself was insane. It was intense. It was awesome. It was just really back and forth, really fun.
Mhm.
I mean, Dean and Seth have really been enjoying their stuff. Seth as a hot tag is very good.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there's a lot to like about this match.
Mhm.
I hope Cesaro's okay.
He's fine.
You know, I mean, I saw him on Raw. I mean, that was not a pretty bump. And now I can guarantee you right now, if that stuff happened to me, I would not want to keep wrestling for 10 minutes. I would probably be either crying on the ground or punching in, or like hitting the turnbuckles, punching everything, and swearing.
The amount of swearing that would happen in the middle of that ring would make sailors nervous.
Yes. Mothers would have to mothers and fathers would have to cover their kids' ears. People would be just standing there, mouth agape.
Dude, you just lost your teeth.
It's like, dude, you just lost your teeth. Calm down. But yes, no, it was a good match. I mean, sadly, that happened. I mean, credit to all four guys and Cesaro especially for still being able to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they all deserved a 5-figure raise right there, at least. Like, they should all have gotten paid like 25 grand each at the very least, just like here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this was my best match of the night.
Okay, so this match here, I did not have high expectations for Team Underachiever versus Team Bar, and because of the thing is that the build for this wasn't very good. But here's the thing about WWE and their builds. Hint, if the build isn't good, the match usually is really great. And this match was really great. Seth and Dean weren't cooperating very well as a team in the first half of this match. That was until Cesaro met the turnbuckle. Then the turnbuckle decided to fight back. Obviously, somewhere down the line, the turnbuckle's family had been attacked by one of Cesaro's family members. It decided to settle a 2,500-year-old blood feud by knocking some of Cesaro's teeth out. So, after Cesaro gets some medical attention after taking a headstand spot and an enziguri from Seth Rollins, who somehow didn't cause things to become worse, miracle upon miracles, Cesaro then went to the ringside doctor and got himself checked out, while Sheamus then proceeded to beat the ever-loving bejesus out of Seth Rollins, which has continued to be a wonderful, wonderful, joyous spot for me. Because as we all know, I am not exactly the biggest fan of Seth Rollins, as the backdrop of metaphorical flames behind me can attest to. So then, after beating up Seth for a while, then beating up Dean for a while, which in the opening half of the match, Dean got smashed into the steel ring stairs, but like most things, Dean didn't really sell it very well because Dean just kept going. I mean, he's like the Black Knight from Monty Python. You could slice off the limbs of Dean Ambrose and he'd still go. Because he is Dean Ambrose. The one wrestler, and this is funny, Sal, you know, my dad does not like very many wrestlers. The one wrestler that he will actually watch a match for is Dean Ambrose's matches.
Really?
Yes. He likes him. He likes the way he works in the ring. And my dad is not a wrestling fan, folks. And this one wrestler is one of the few that he likes. So the Braunpocalypse isn't the only thing that shocked viewers today.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Dean really works better as a tag wrestler than as a single star. I mean, I think he can work as a single star. It's just WWE gets him wrong.
And also Dean gets himself wrong, honestly.
Well, I mean, like, there's more nuance than lol, he's crazy, Maggle. Which is what WWE thinks, rather than this is a crafty, conniving guy, you know?
And the thing with Dean Ambrose is that, remember, this guy is a deathmatch wrestler primarily. He is a deathmatch wrestler trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, which, most like a block would. And in that situation, I feel like they're trying to get the best out of Dean that they can, because Dean is adjusting into an environment where he isn't in death matches, where he isn't in hardcore brawls all the time. And in all honesty, it's one of those situations where they're trying to make the best of what they have. And the same can be said of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is a phenomenal tag team wrestler because, again, Seth Rollins' usual antics are kept to a minimum. Miracle
Right.
upon miracles.
I know, yeah. They kind of like, they really do balance each other out right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Dean's insane spots get minimized, and Seth's insane spots get minimized, and also the weird headlock spots that he does, and all this other stuff. Now he's actually playing a face and actually can do babyface related moves. And they still keep trying to push him as the Kingslayer. See, kids, look at how cool he is. We're hip and one with the kids, y'all. And this is Hunter saying this as he's wearing a rapper-style hats, baggy pants, and various different other gears that basically shouts, "I'm cool with the kids, y'all."
I'm picturing that, and that's hilarious. Although I will say, this past Monday on Raw, they had Seth and Dean talking backstage, and Seth. First off, they sounded like an old married couple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they have that backstage segment on YouTube, but if they do, you need to find it and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Seth is pretty much getting a Dean ice after he went up against Braun, and he's like, "You need to stop being so reckless." And Dean's like, "You need to be more reckless." And then he's like, Seth's like, and Dean's like, "I know you're the Kingslayer, the this, you're the that." And Seth's like, "Yeah, I could be a little more reckless." He's like, "I'm going to challenge Braun Strowman next week." I'm like, you guys are just really making this all for me.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, Seth has become the angry tsundere, and Dean is the reckless main character of an anime, which, the kind of guy that would go, "I want to face against the giant killer monster with giant spiky horns and energy blast that has decided to decimate half of my hometown."
Yep. They seriously do remind me of like an old married couple, really. Like a couple who know, they know each other's faults. They're probably not going to try and change too much, but they're going to put up with each other.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this was a good match from Team Underachiever, and they've actually managed to achieve something. They did well against the Bar. Cesaro's going to go in for more dental work, and the reason I feel that they're going against the Mr. might not even be the final opponents for this specialty Shield match at TLC. They may just be the sub-bosses for the main bosses.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I really do think this is mainly just to get a Shield reunion out of it.
Mm-hmm. It's like those old high school reunions, except you pretty much hate everybody and are not interested in coming back into them. I would never experience anything of that because I attended high school, but I was homeschooled, so I didn't have to experience the horrors of high school.
Yeah.
So I didn't experience the horrors. That's so wonderful.
See, high school wasn't bad for me. I mean, there were certainly some bad points, and we'll just leave some of my past demons in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's just say, like, my high school days, like, knowing, like, if you know who I am right now, I wasn't exactly the same person in high school. Let's just put it like that and say I had my demons. But yes, high school wasn't terrible though. I mean, there were some good points to it. But yes, high school, it's always a mixed bag, I feel like, and anyone who says otherwise is probably lying or just blinded by nostalgia.
Or has not even had to experience the demons of high school in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, so we have that match. I feel like what's next is, of course, the Shield reunion, which is basically the horrifying high school reunion from 1965.
It really is, and the weird thing is, if you were to tell me, like a year ago, like, hey, the Shield's going to get back together, I would have been all for it.
I mean, I'm all for it, but it's just Roman Reigns is going to show up to the high school reunion prom, and he's going to be covered in the blood of John Cena like a horror movie villain. And Seth and Dean are going to be trying to spike the punch bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be what it'll be. I mean, again, I think there can be some fun stuff with it. I just sort of feel like it doesn't need to happen. Like, Dean and Seth have been doing their own fun, cool stuff. Roman has been doing his own thing. It just doesn't feel like they need to do this. I mean, I know the ratings say otherwise, but
I mean, I'm for it. I'm for it, but I know that this means that your precious Miztourage is going to be destroyed, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still think Miz keeps the IC belt at the end of this because, I mean, unless they really want to give Roman his Grand Slam, they aren't giving him the IC title since he's likely winning the belt off Brock. by Mania. They are all towards building Roman towards Mania. So what's going to happen is the Miztourage are going to go up against the Shield, or Roman's going to go up against Miz next week. Miztourage interferes. Roman or Seth and the Dean run down to make the save, and then we get the Miztourage Shield for the pay-per-view.
What if Miz loses the IC belt to Roman?
I will be mad because there will be literally no point to it.
Well, I do see a point because remember Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan?
God fucking help me.
They are going to do, what if they do an Intercontinental Champion versus World Championship match at WrestleMania?
No, I honestly see that potential happening more for Shinsuke AJ on SmackDown. That's where I would see that happening.
That's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility. But like that's just something that, that's just a thought that came in my head, and now everybody's screaming at the top of their lungs, no, 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 no.
Yeah, no, I could see that happening. It's just, I don't want it to happen. But again, I'm a hugely biased Miz Mark, so there you go.
Miz losing the IC belt to Roman, and then Roman facing Brock for the World Championship at WrestleMania with the IC belt, and then Roman drops the IC belt when he wins the championship. That could happen, potentially. That's just a figment in the imagination that far. It could just be totally off, but they might go that direction.
Yeah, it could.
Because if anything we've found out about this company is that they are purely satanic by nature. Oh! Everybody's starting to like Miz now, and he's not gotten any heat. Well, let's just put the belt on the beloved Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let's see here. What was the next match after this?
Alexa, the women's match. Alexa Bliss against Bayley, Emma, Nia, and Sasha.
So this was the Destroy All Monsters Godzilla-style match of matches. This went 9 minutes. It was a very, very fun match. Nia Jax took the bump of her life.
Yeah, I thought she almost died. She fell on her neck.
Actually, she fell on part of her shoulder. I managed to cushion the blow by using part of her left shoulder to block the impact. When she did it, because what happened was I think Emma and Bayley were supposed to lift together, but one of them was off by about 2 seconds, and because Bayley recently had a shoulder issue, they kind of had to just basically have Bayley deadlift and slam her because Emma kind of fell over.
Yeah, it really.
I mean, why did you have a person with a bad shoulder and a person who just got back from a back injury have to lift Nia Jax, the flyweight wrestler that she is, and power slam her onto the ring canvas?
I don't know. This company doesn't think sometimes. Or hell, I guess maybe the wrestlers themselves didn't really think about it, or maybe it was just an accident. I mean, things like this happen.
Yeah, things like this happen. And honestly, Nia recovered nicely. She was fine afterwards. And this was just a really, really fun 9-minute long match that served its purpose well of Alexa somehow escaping out of this, match with Ghidorah and Mafra and Gigan and all the others, all the other monsters. She escaped from this match with her championship, and now she has to face against, first Mickie James. But there's also something looming at TLC. Because either Alexa faces Asuka directly, or Asuka devours somebody else.
Yeah. No, it's probably Mickey's the stopgap for Asuka. Mickey's the stopgap for Asuka. That's what's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Bayley Sasha implosion.
Oh my goodness. I do hope that that implosion does lead to what I think it is, because when Sasha and Bayley were interfering with one another, Sasha was doing it out of a babyface need, where Bayley was just chucking Sasha all over the ring when she went and did the spots. I'm like, oh my goodness.
It is looking more like a Bayley heel turn, because on Raw this past week, Bayley tagged herself in to get the win for the team.
Oh,
which is a typical heel move. Although then again, like you said, this company is satanic, and they may very well be doing all of this with the intent of keeping Bayley a face.
Oh no, I think they're gonna turn Bailey heel in this instance, because if they're doing that, then that means that Bailey will be the one turning heel and that Sasha will be the one remaining face, because they realize what they have in Sasha Banks as far as the face is concerned, and also because of Sasha's size, it makes more sense for her to be the babyface in peril and Bailey to be the destroyer of all worlds.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be what it'll be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, I mean, I do wonder, does WWE truly realize what they have in her, though? That's my question, because if they did, they would not constantly have her losing the title like a week after she won it.
Sure, but here's the thing. They want to continually write a story, and the thing would they realize, they understand, then they realize their own faults in this situation. They realize that they can only focus somehow on only one or two women's feuds per match. So they're basically going to give the title to Alexa because, again, there's also the other demon in the room, which is the four horsewomen versus four horsewomen feud, which will possibly happen in Survivor Series, which will then continue the Bailey Banks implosion.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it all goes well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
you know, it'll be what it'll be. I'm still skeptical.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that Mickey and Alexa will have a decent match. I know that Mickey has lost a step or five, but I feel that she will do well in this situation. And of course, Alexa is the total monster. She is the one person on this company that really knows how to cut a promo, and she's become a really nice cornerstone of the division, despite how everybody is now screaming at the top of their lungs to put Sasha on top, which, again, I like Sasha, but I see her as the 1A babyface. I don't really see her as the main babyface because she has her demographics. She has little girls and she has minorities as her demographic, as well as a majority of the fandom likes Sasha Banks, which is a bit of an uncomfortable position for her because she's in the position where she wants to be a heel, but instead is getting babyface cheers because of her size and because of her backstory.
I wonder how much of that is, you know, her wanting to be a heel, though. I think, like, she plays a very good heel. I think she could be more, like, I feel like she's a lot like Punk in that she can play both a very good heel and a very good baby face.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I mean, I honestly just feels like she wants to be utilized better. That's the biggest thing I get from her. I really do feel like she's a lot like CM Punk in that regard.
But again, she has to also realize the pitfalls of being the CM Punk style wrestler, because then you start running into problems with Triple H, who's been your biggest ally thus far in this whole women's revolution thing.
Well, true. I just think, you know, I think she has a far better relationship with Triple H. I feel like that's the one break. It's that she has more of an issue with Vince, where Punk was apparently pretty close with Vince, but had a very huge issue with Triple H. I feel like that's the one difference between the two.
Yes,
I mean,
because they come from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think in addition to the minorities and just children in general, I mean, and I'll talk more about Evolve later tonight. But when I went to Evolve, I actually saw a guy. I'm pretty, like, from what I might remember, it was some white guy, like a white guy around my age, wearing a Sasha Banks shirt. She has very broad appeal.
Oh yeah, she has very broad appeal. It's just I feel as though that we're running into the classic issue of the thing with pro wrestlers is that they all want attention. They are very attention-heavy individuals. Otherwise, they would not be parading around in what is basically their underwear in the middle of a wrestling ring. They want that attention. They feel that need for attention, and nobody wants that attention more than Sasha Banks does in the women's division. But right now, the need of the many comes before the need of the few. As we talked about last week at the Mae Young Classic, everybody needs to band together in this situation and try to make the best for women's wrestling right now. Make it profitable. Make it financially feasible. Make it so that it becomes more widespread in the world of professional wrestling. Because I see a women's revolution happening. No, not the WWE marketed one. The one that actually is happening out in the world of professional wrestling. It seems very strong right now, but everybody needs to be on the same page in the situation. I've talked about this, and I've been banging this drum since 2015. They all need to band together in this situation and not let their egos and their personal needs for me overshadow we. We are the people here who have been underprivileged and underutilized in these situations for the past 50 years. let's change that. We are in an era where we could change that. We can make this work. And I feel like they are on something here, that they are finally in a position where they are getting more and more segments and more coverage. It's just going to take time. And that is, nobody these days has any gosh dang patience with anything right now.
Well, I feel like there's a lack of patience because WWE was doing that for a
50
short.
years.
Well, no, they were starting to give them multiple segments. We're starting to give them more time. But lately they haven't been. That's the huge issue here. I mean, let's look at this. They put they had one women's match this time on No Mercy, and it went about 10 minutes. It was a great match, don't get me wrong. But before this, they were at least giving women, 2 matches and maybe a total of like 20 minutes, back in 2015, 2016. They were giving them some more time. It's just, I feel like the reason people are getting on WWE is because they're talking this big game, but they're going backwards. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Well, it's a universal problem with WWE right now because somebody had to mess up the NXT women's division by giving their champion a 513-day reign without developing anybody else around them, apart from Nikki Cross, who got over on her own, and Ruby Riott, who is starting to get over on her own, and the Icons, who are still just there.
Yeah, I think the NXT, well, I mean, it's not even just NXT, but like the main roster as a whole. I mean, you look at SmackDown, you're barely there used to be 2 women's segments a week. You're only getting 1 now.
Although, in all honesty, given the trouble that SmackDown has had with their booking recently, there's probably a blessing in disguise there. Just the one angle with Carmella with the women's briefcase and Natalya as champion. Right now, with just the amount of screw-ups that the creative team on that end is doing, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because of how many screw-ups they've had lately with the gender stuff and the stuff with Shane and KO not making much sense, but at least it will lead to a decent match.
Well, yeah, that is true, but at the same time, I feel like that speaks more to the fact that they need to get a new creative team then.
I mean, it's like you buy a pair of shoes and they last for a year.
Yeah. It's just, I feel, but nothing's changed. That's the issue. That really is the huge issue. Nothing has changed. It's like there's no real reason for there to be a backstep here. You still have a lot of capable people. I mean, Becky's hardly ever seen. She's a very capable wrestler. We haven't seen Naomi since she's lost the belt. We hardly see them, and these are 2 people who were getting very good reactions and who were doing things. What happened?
Well, what happened in Becky's case is that she has had to start dealing with some lingering injuries over the last several months, and in Naomi's case, she's still dealing with her issue with her knee. So we now have them working on the house show circuit, working a reduced schedule to try and get them better so that they can do the winter push.
Then, well, what I would do then is take them off house shows and put them on TV, because the way they're trying to handle this is ass backwards. I mean, like I really get the feeling that they don't want to give them time. I mean, because they can't cut out anything else. They can't cut out Randy Orton, who really hasn't done any good business ever. They can't cut out other stuff. They can't just give the belt to Shinsuke and keep his segments, but get rid of Jinder. No, they can't do that. All of their problems are self-inflicted and stupid in nature. That's my biggest issue. It isn't like they have a talentless roster.
No, they don't. They have one of the more talented rosters out there. To continue with your point, I'm like, in this situation with Randy Orton, he's one of the few house show draws that they have remaining. Yes, I know I used the word Randy Orton and draw in this situation, and that's probably caused a bunch of pigs to start flying into the sky for whatever reasons. But again, they're looking at their house show business and they realize that they need to start putting in draws in the situation and focus less on the TV sort of stuff. I know that is a bizarro thinking, but again, we are having to deal with Satan and company here. That's kind of the point.
Yep. It's just a mess. I feel like I really get the feeling that the WWE is doing just barely enough to say, oh, we're still committed to women's wrestling. You know, they're doing just enough to make it say like, no, we're not going back to the Attitude Era. No, we're not doing this. But they're so half-assing it.
Sure, but I think at this time with the women's wrestlers, it has to be them pushing forward in this situation because this actually is a good opportunity for them to continue progressing forward. The Eye of Sauron is not focused on you right now. Let's push forward.
I get that, but it just seems like it isn't even that they aren't looking at, like, that the WWE isn't looking at them. It's that the WWE is actively fighting against them. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're trying to have to fight against the internal machine of WWE, and that's my biggest issue. You shouldn't have to make your talent fight against you.
Sure, but they're fighting against other wrestlers with other egos and other personalities, so that's why there is the fighting there.
I really don't get that from this roster, though. I think most of them, they just want what's best for women's wrestling, and I know some of them might. I mean, yes, do I feel like Sasha really thinks she should be on top of the women's wrestling division right now? Yes, I do, but I can honestly back her up here and say she has some reasoning for it, and that she usually gets the best reactions. She's one of the best in-ring competitors. I mean, it's sort of like she's pretty much like what they tell you to be in order to be number one in wrestling. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, I'm getting all the best reactions. I'm selling a lot of merch. You know, I'm getting people are into me. I have good matches. I should be on top. And that is what wrestling traditionally tells us. Those with good matches, those who get good reactions, those who sell a lot of merch, they are on top. That is how it works.
But instead, it's the heels that end up being on top.
But even then, I mean, traditional WWE has always had baby faces on top. I know it's been crazy lately. But, you know, so that's why I feel like some people feel like they should be on top. And I feel like all the women are trying to band together to make it work. And I feel like, and this is just my speculation, I don't think anyone in the back would be mad if Sasha was on top for right now if it led to a real storyline.
I think that there is a storyline coming up here, and it is an interesting one. You have Alexa versus the Old Guard, and you have Asuka. The lion's cage has been unlocked. Thanks a lot, Hunter. And somebody is getting sacrificed. And then, of course, you have the inevitable 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen food, and, of course, the Bayley-Sasha blow-up. So there's several stories there on the Raw side, and on the SmackDown side, we'll have to see where they go from here because, again, everything seems to be on fire over there.
Yep.
So we have that match, which was, like we said, it's a very interesting match, very good match. I feel like it went around about the proper amount of time because of the performers involved. I mean, we didn't want to see Alexa or Sasha getting injured or Nia getting injured. And of course, with Emma and Bayley both nursing injuries, it's a good idea to have it at 9 minutes.
I guess my statement about it being 9 minutes wasn't really a call for it to be longer as much as it was a call for you couldn't have taken one or two of these people out, put them in a match with Mickey and given us 2 women's matches on this card. I feel like that's more of my criticism to it. But there you go. After that, we had Roman Reigns against John Cena.
Ooh, this one's good, folks.
I can appreciate the intent behind it, and it wasn't in no way a bad match. I felt like they overhyped it. I feel like I really feel like this was sort of like Star Wars Episode 1. You remember that, going back to Star Wars Episode 1, everyone had all these high expectations of it. They were expecting it was the second coming of Star Wars. It was going to bring the franchise back into the glory ages. And it was a pile of crap. Now, this wasn't a pile of crap as much as it was just decent, above average. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the means. It's just, it didn't live up to the hype.
I didn't have particularly high expectations for Episode 1 when it actually was in theaters. And when we watched it, I thought it was an okay film. I mean, like, here's the thing. My house is filled with people who are, my parents are diehard Star Wars fans, and they're diehard Star Trek fans. They are just fans of sci-fi in general. And I think they thought the first film was okay. They thought the second film was okay. They thought the third film was really good because, again, Anakin Skywalker going on a literal tantrum and destroying everything was fantastic. And then, of course, the films afterwards, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return to the Jedi are all very good films. And like we are all sci-fi fans, but we also know the flaws and criticisms of sci-fi. So, if episode 1, I think, was fine for what it was, and like you said, you fought Roman Reigns and John Cena was a overhyped match.
Yep, mainly because WWE literally said this is a WrestleMania caliber match. WrestleMania, WrestleMania, WrestleMania. It isn't just me and other people saying, we had high expectations for this match on our own, which, to be fair, I would have had it even if they didn't say this, but them saying this is a WrestleMania caliber match, it didn't help their case.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me personally, it met my expectations. It met the hype that I had in my head for this particular match. Our story, of course, begins with the fact that this is the tale of two individuals. One is named Jonas Caesar of Olympus, the man who has been the primordial wrestling Olympian god for decades in the WWE. His brain has been mighty and destructive, with many, many corpses buried underneath his sandals. John Cena's reign of terror would continue as he was looking for that precious 17th time championship of something champions. So, in this situation, we had Jonas Caesar of Olympus, the one who is the glorious king, the ruler of all of the WWE universe. And then we have the proverbial knife in the absurder of the beloved Roman Brutus. Beloved by all. Yes, he is literally beloved by all. Even those who boo him out of the literal building. Because you're at least providing WWE with a reaction. And apparently the Roman Reigns merch, if somebody wears Roman Reigns merch, it is basically the same effect of as somebody points at you and you're wearing Roman Reigns worst, well, you can at least summon a pile of locusts and scarabs to devour their corpse. It is as effective as pepper spray, mace, a brick to the face, or a taser to the nuts.
Yeah, no, wearing Roman Reigns merch to some people means you might as well, be wearing a sign that you might as well be wearing a MAGA hat to those people, because wearing a Roman Reigns shirt is apparently is just the worst thing ever to some wrestling fans, because how dare you like Roman Reigns? How dare you be a fan of him?
I still need to buy Roman Reigns merch at this point, because I get that general reaction from people when I'm walking around town in my wrestling t-shirts.
Yeah.
I get the general experience that Roman Reigns fans do all the time. Like, they look at me and they go, he's wearing a wrestling shirt. Flee! Flee! He's wearing a wrestling shirt.
Seriously. Good Lord. You can only seriously, we're treating wrestling fans as a whole are treating Roman Reigns fans as second-class people.
Of course, because Roman Reigns represents the minority. Roman Reigns represents the minority that feels disenfranchised. But the funny thing is that I've noticed Roman Reigns fans have now become the majority. There aren't as many John Cena fans around as there used to, because they're raising families, they're having kids, they're doing other things other than professional wrestling. When you look into the stands at this show at the Staples Center, there's a lot more Roman Reigns merch than there is John Cena merch.
Yep. And unfortunately, there's 5 times the Young Bucks merch and Bullet Club merch than that.
Oh, yes, of course. That also happened. Let's do a little segue into that. A Donner Party incident of the day. Number 1, the Young Bucks have decided once again to put the middle finger at WWE one too many times and are now missing a pair of digits.
Yep. They decided to poke the bear one too many times, and, well, they can't throw up a too sweet no more, because WWE has CD'd them.
Yes, cease and desist, folks. They have pulled a cease and desist. The lawyers, who are probably the most dangerous group of the WWE team, not named Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar, has decided to unleash their proverbial 10 curses, Egyptian curses, on the Young Bucks because of the whole Too Sweet thing, because of a documentary series that they did in 2015 that had the Too Sweet logo in its trademark.
Yep.
So their gimmick grave robbing has led to them having legal issues. Now the Young Bucks have countered this by donating some of their Too Sweet gear to a Alabama hospital for charity.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'll talk more about this later tonight, but they were like a friend of the show, Chris said, who I will talk to you later tonight about this. They came out spitting fire and brimstone about how WWE is wrong, how they're gonna take this to them, and now they're trying to make WWE look bad for doing it by, pretty much playing PR and donating all their stuff to charities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair play to them. WWE does that too. Stephanie McMahon literally said to people, I feel that the future of marketing is in PR, so.
I mean, they're definitely getting pretty close to, the whole. I will love the reaction when the Young Bucks do sign with WWE. The amount of reaction of hatred and this amount of coffee being spewed out of the mouths of angry hipsters who, you signed with the enemy! You signed with the corporate evil known as WWE! How dare you!
Honestly, this whole thing comes across as really pathetic on both hands. I mean,
of course it does.
On the one hand, you have the Young Bucks and them saying, well, we don't need WWE. We're fine doing our own thing. Yet they constantly taunt WWE. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, fine, you don't need WWE. Please stop talking about them. And then you have WWE who's, just acting like this, which, I mean, I get why they're acting like this. Revenue's down. They're probably annoyed by all the Young Bucks fans and how, they lost out on that Hot Topic deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hot Topic, for those who don't know, heard about New Japan and the Bullet Club, saw how popular it was. They had a deal with WWE. They called them and asked, hey, why don't we have this stuff? WWE is like, oh, yeah, that's a different company. And Hot Topic went out and made a deal with New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably didn't stick too well with WWE.
So now Bullet Club now plagues the streets of Hot Topic with their merch. Their wonderful, wonderful merch. If you thought Roman Reigns was the ability to possibly melt bones, well, the Young Bucks Bullet Club merch does the exact same thing. Everyone will want to avoid you. Heck, I even see people wearing Bullet Club shirts in my town.
Oh, hell, I see that too. I saw it at Evolve. Hell, I saw yesterday at school, I had to go to the bookstore and pick up some Scantrons. One of the people working there had a Villain Club shirt on.
Oh, good Lord. Was he the librarian?
He was one of the people working there. He was working the help desk, I think. So there you go.
So if the library starts randomly raining umbrellas and bad chicken wings from Marty Scroll, then you'll know what is happening.
Yeah, that whole... I mean, look, the whole Invasion of Raw thing was stupid. I mean, one of the things they said in the trailer was stupid. Like when Adam Page was like, I've been abducted. They made me watch this. And they said the Mae Young Classic, and that got a huge gasp. And I'm just like, really?
But you're being dude bros about the Mae Young Classic?
Yes.
Dude bros about the Mae Young Classic? Oh my God, they're going to be mauled to death by the women's wrestlers.
Yep. Which, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, they're marks for themselves. I get that. They want to make it seem like they don't care about WWE, but they do care, and that's the issue. WWE is just this giant corporate entity who I don't like, and I'm kind of mad that the Young Bucks are making me take their side.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes the corporate entity is not the evil here. In this case, it's the annoying gimmick grave robbers who don't know when to shut up, like typical Californians.
Yeah, and sadly, this will probably because we remember when ROH released an action figure of KO right before or after he signed with them.
Mm-hmm.
We remember how petty WWE got with ROH.
Yes, we do.
So I wonder how WWE is going to feel about ROH for letting their world champion, their tag champions, and their six-man champions all do this.
Mm-hmm. They're probably making angry phone calls to Sinclair as we speak at this point saying, did you know about this? Did you know that these people were going to invade our arena?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It just doesn't look good for ROH either. I'm sure it doesn't look good for Bullet Club either because now their stable is tied to all this bullshit.
Oh, yes, and also New Japan will probably not be happy about the fact that the foreigners are causing trouble on the foreign soil. I mean, Seto Kaiba might be okay with it, but I don't think Jado and Gendo will be.
No, and you need to keep this in mind. Well, ROH and New Japan are already in a sort of tenacious relationship. New Japan is pretty much close to just dropping their asses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them. Why do they need them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, what good does ROH do for them anyways when most ROH sellouts happen because a New Japan wrestler was headlining it?
Yeah, like Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, that's the thing, guys. I mean, ROH, sort of, I mean, credit to Kidani. He gutted ROH to make it useful for New Japan. I mean, that is a hell of a thing to do to someone who's ostensibly your ally, but I kind of respect the ruthless efficiency and commitment to it.
Yes, the Japanese samurai warlords code of honor, they're doing that to Ring of Honor.
Yeah, which, you know, it is what it is. This whole thing was stupid, but it'll be what it'll be. Roman Reigns and John Cena, you know,
I thought it was a very, very good match. It basically matched my expectations. It exceeded my expectations, and basically, you know, the streets of Rome were bathed in John Cena's blood because Roman Reigns has now taken out two of your beloved heroes. First, he took a bazooka to The Undertaker, and then he's taken a Caesar's knife to John Cena.
Yeah, the story of this match was pretty much the ascension of Roman overtaking the old emperor. That was John to claim his rightful place on the throne. That was the story of this match. He kicked out of all of John's big stuff. You know, he put John down and he got the win. I thought the hand raising at the end was stupid. I get why they did it. It just kind of felt, it felt more like they had to do it rather than they should have done it. It was because like they saw the script and the script said John Cena must raise Roman Reigns' hand. That sort of felt like the booking decision going into it.
I mean, instead of Roman ripping John's arm off and then beating him to death with it.
Yeah, that's sort of what should have happened. And you could tell, well, you could kind of tell that's how Roman felt when he had to say on Miss TV that he respects John Cena. He didn't want to say it.
I respect John Cena. Oh, God. Frog in the throat. Frog in the throat.
Yeah, you're only slightly exaggerating there. I mean, you could tell on his face, like he's like, I respect John Cena. Like he's just mumbling it, not really looking at the camera, not really looking at Miz, always looking down at the floor. You could tell he didn't mean what he was saying, and he was just reading off the script.
I love that. I love the match itself. I love that, you know, apparently Roman Reigns' scariest form is the smiling Samoan. He was smiling through 90% of this match, and I was like, dear Jesus.
Yeah. But, you know, it was good. You know, like I said, it didn't really live up to my expectations, but it wasn't a bad match. I can appreciate what they wanted to do with it, even if I felt they didn't really succeed with it.
I like the sound at the end where John Cena is just sitting in the ring and is just like, oh my God, Nikki's going to be so cross with me that I lost this match.
Oh, no, he shouldn't be too worried.
And also because of the horrific SDF that he did during the match, he's thinking, oh God, Nikki's going to kill me when I get home. Oh God, Nikki's going to kill me when I get home.
She won't be too mad. She has Dancing with the Stars to worry about.
Yes, she's Bella hammering the competition and destroying them all along with her friends, or wrestle friends. Yep. Charlotte showed up. Did Charlotte put anybody in the figure four?
I don't know. I don't really watch Dancing with the Stars. I just know she's on it. So, you know. And hopefully the ghost of Misawa is following her, keeping an eye on her.
Yes, I mean, because like when I hear the words "a professional wrestler is in a dancing competition," I'm thinking to myself, "All right, how many of these dancers are going to get knocked out before the finals?"
Chris Jericho was on this before, so we could ask him.
Oh, I don't expect Mr. Midlife to succeed in that area, but I do expect Nikki to do well here. You know, they both finished mid-pack. I think Chris finished mid-pack when he was doing Dancing with Stars, and I need to double check on that. But I think Nikki will probably finish mid-pack in this whole thing. Next up,
I think she could finish better, but that's based on nothing but my gut instinct alone, and I don't really know dancing. So there you go.
What will happen is that probably someone will go for a table at some point.
Yep. Although I do have to say, in their first dance routine, I saw a gif of this. The dude, her partner, who I don't know who it is, he was tapping out to a pinfall. So,
yeah.
Way to go, man. Tapping out to a pinfall. God bless you.
At least you didn't fall to a Divas roll-up.
After that, we had the cooldown match, which was Enzo defeating Neville for the Cruiserweight title, and I am still mad about this.
Oh, dear. So I assume that you're going to be saving your rage for Two Guys, One Sport?
Mainly, yes. All I'm going to say is I think it was stupid. Without getting animated, I'll just say this. I think it was stupid that they switched the whole thing to Enzo, even though Tozawa was gaining traction. I get why they did it. I'm not happy that they did it. Tozawa was getting traction. They were getting over. You didn't need to do this to Enzo. I think Enzo was an idiot. He shouldn't be anywhere near the belt. But The next night on Raw, we had a pretty sweet double turn that I missed because Raw was boring. I was tired and I had work at 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. So I will talk a little bit about this match. I felt like this match was really well done. I felt like they capitalized on Enzo's strengths. Yes, Enzo has strengths, and Neville's strengths in this match. It basically became the match of Neville basically turned Enzo into a dummy to repeatedly kick and punch against, and Enzo used his Jersey street smarts to somehow win the shiny thing. Also, someone summoned Enzo Amore by saying his name 3 times, and Enzo Amore showed up wearing a Beetlejuice outfit.
Jesus, I hate him so much.
But he's actually having the intended effect for the Cruiserweight division, as now everyone in the Cruiserweight division wants his head on a stick.
Oh, yes. See, the next night on Raw, well, right after Raw, well, first we had Neville in that double turn. Enzo came out, berated the entire Cruiserweight division. And Neville, he came out and defended the honor of the Cruiserweight division, saying they were the ones who gave you a shot here. And this is how you repay them. So Neville turned face, Enzo turned heel, which, I mean, if we're going to have Enzo in this division, he may as well be a heel. Neville as a face, I think I really like as sort of this. I kind of like the idea of it, of a king who's fallen, but who somehow turns good in the end. A mad king who sort of turns good. I kind of like that concept. I think it has some potential. And, and after Raw went off the air, Braun beat up Enzo and then just told the Cruiserweight division you want him. And then the entire Cruiserweight division beat him up. And then one of the most touching and unifying moments ever, Drew Gulak let Mustafa Ali do a flip.
Because Drew Gulak currently is having this no-fly zone thing where cruiserweight should be traditional, grappling wrestling instead of high-flying. He let him do it because he hates Enzo so much, and it would be good for his political career.
Yes, he was against it, but everyone convinced him, and he conceded and let him. And it was the most beautiful and unifying thing I have ever seen. It was so beautiful to see that. And all of the pain Enzo endured was beautiful. And I'm advocating that we make the... I mean, if Enzo really wants 205 Live to be the Zoe show, fine. We can just make 205 Live an hour-long beatdown every Tuesday of Enzo Amore.
And also put Braun Strowman in the Cruiserweight division. He deserves to be in the Cruiserweight division with his destruction of Enzo repeatedly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, here's what you do. Just have everyone form a line. They beat him up for a few minutes, tag out, beat him up. Next guy goes in, beat him up, beat him up, beat him up, beat him up, beat him up. Beautiful hour of television right there.
Yeah, so yeah, that's just such a wonderful thing. And Taker's minion does say yes, indeed, a smiling Samoan is a dangerous Samoan. Yes, I know about that too.
Yep. Oh yes, I mean you need to remember it's one of those things where it's like you can tell the smile underneath. He's smiling. He's going to kill you.
Yes, he's going to make you into a nice stew pot.
But yeah, I didn't really like Enzo winning, but that's because I would never like Enzo winning. I mean, someone could, like you said, there are so many good things you could say he's doing. Someone could tell me all the benefits of this. I mean, even though I like the Neville face turn, I just would never have Neville win, or not Neville, I would never have Enzo win the belt.
I feel like they needed to do a belt change at this point because Neville had the belt for a very long time, and the division was starting to stagnate a little bit with Neville on top at this point. I feel as though that if they were going with the direction of having to salvage Enzo Amore, I feel like this would be the perfect way to do that, with Enzo low-blowing Neville in an ads, and then Enzo winning the shiny thing.
Yep. And then him berating everyone and getting told off by Neville, who, God bless Neville. I mean, that man was always good. I feel like this face turn gives him a new dynamic, and Neville pulled out the whole clause saying Enzo pulled out the whole clause saying if Neville touched him, we want to get a cruiserweight championship shot, and Neville attacked him anyway. So that instantly makes Neville like the biggest face ever.
The king has realized his faults and now wants to turn over a new leaf. And that face storyline is always a very good storyline to have, where you have the heel wrestler who realizes his faults and realizes in his insanity, what have I done? What have I done in this situation? I have let this man into my kingdom, and now the empire around me is falling apart.
Yep. And that's why I kind of like Neville here, though, because he, like you said, he's realized his faults. He's like, holy crap, this bleeding is falling apart. The kingdom has fallen, and I need to help take it back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the idea of that is it'll either get Neville out of the title picture for a bit, or it'll set up a rematch, which Neville loses.
Mm-hmm.
Through shenanigans, and then I don't know who they go to next. I mean, maybe Mustafa Ali, since he's the one babyface who doesn't really have a feud going on.
Mm-hmm.
Although it could be Cedric Alexander, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess it'll be interesting. I'm still not a huge fan of Enzo, and I will say it was kind of cool to see the cruiserweights actually main event a Raw on Monday. But it is what it is. But that's the cruiserweight division. You have any final thoughts on it?
I feel as though the cruiserweight division has been, for the last several months, been really good. I just think, like with the women's division, patience, folks. We're in year one of the cruiserweight division rebuild. There's going to be a few bumps. There's going to be some issues happening. Patience. They're on to something good here. I feel like if you manage your expectations correctly, I think that you will go very far with this cruiserweight division, much like with the women's division right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, I feel like this was the right call here. Enzo becoming the devious heel, low-blowing Neville, and Neville becoming overconfident about the fact that he could beat Enzo Amore when he underestimated the guy.
Yeah. It'll be what it'll be. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential here. I think Enzo's reign should be a short one, although that's mainly because I find the man himself utterly despicable, and I don't want him having any success in WWE. But again, that's just me, and I freely admit I'm completely biased here. So,
I'm sure that I'm going to hear a lot more complaining and yelling about that on Two Guys Win Sport about Enzo's run, and it will be interesting to hear. Finally, we have a Street Fighter match. No, literally, it was like watching two 8-bit video game characters have a match against one another. And, folks, we shall now rejoice. The Braunpocalypse has been prevented. Our holy savior, Brock Lesnar, stopped Braun Strowman's reign of terror because if anybody realized that Braun Strowman would have access to the shiny beef jerky belt of champions, well, they probably would spontaneously combust because then they realized that they basically traded in one ginormous monster that they hate with another ginormous monster that, while they do like at this point, is because he's been mauling Roman Reigns to death.
Well, I feel like the thing, though, is Braun hasn't been mauling Roman Reigns for quite a bit now, and he's still over.
He's over as this backwoods working class hero babyface who just beats people up and just destroys everything.
Yes, that is a secret to getting over. That's one of the ways you get over. You just go out there and be an ass kicker, which Braun is. That's why I would have had him won, because he is over. He is one of the few people who gets any reaction whatsoever. One of the fewer who gets a face reaction, who's supposed to.
But I thought Braun was a heel.
Is he, though? I mean, I feel like he sort of, again, transcended alignment. He's sort of like, he is Brock Lesnar, only he's there full time. That's why I would have had him won. You pretty much would have traded a Brock for a Brock who's there full time.
I mean, like, Braun has combined all of the energies of the mystical hillbilly magic that he's been stealing from Bray Wyatt. He's probably still angry about the fact that, his cover board has been bared by Braun taking away all of his mystical potions. No wonder Bray keeps losing so much. And, of course, the fact that Brock Lesnar... The thing is, though, WWE wants to get as much out of this Brock Lesnar investment as they humanly can. They're basically in the last year of their investment, and they're going to milk this cow dry for what it is worth. And Brock Lesnar, both he and Braun had a okay match. They didn't have a great match. I know everybody was expecting that this would be a great match, but I was thinking more in the realms of Zeus versus Abdullah the Butcher when it comes to these two. Braun had not been in a singles match that did not include Roman Reigns in it. And Roman Reigns, as we have seen, is a great worker and beloved by all. So we then have Braun Strowman in a match with Brock Lesnar, and these two did not have very good chemistry with one another.
See, I kind of like that. It felt more like a Clash of the Gods type of match. It's just the ending felt off to me.
The ending where Brock basically took Braun and gave him an F5.
Yeah, it just felt like one F5 and then done. That just sort of felt... It kind of felt like a Clash of the Gods where, someone just got one punt. It's sort of like One Punch Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one punch and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Although we're in One Punch Man, it's used for satirization effect
Mm-hmm.
and to further Saitama's growing existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And here it was not used for any of those things. It was mainly used for the build where Roman eventually kicks out of One at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they did it. It's just, again,
mm-hmm.
I would have booked this so much differently. Stone Cold wasn't a fan of the finish either.
Of course he wasn't, but that's because he isn't really all that big of a fan of Brock Lesnar.
I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't even hate Brock Lesnar. I've liked a lot of Brock Lesnar matches. I thought this one was pretty good. I had it at about 3 stars. I mean, it wasn't a bad match by any means. It's just, it could have been so much better, I felt. And
I felt like that was the general consensus about No Mercy, is that
Yes.
the people felt like it could have been so much better, could have been so much more hype, Mountain Dew. And I'm like, oh, okay, chill out a little bit here, relax, man, because there's a difference between hype that is realistic and the hype that is imagined in the heads of wrestling fans throughout the world.
But I really don't think any of this was unrealistic. That's the thing. I mean, you look at the matches on paper and you've seen the body of work of a lot of these individuals, and you look at it and you're like, this could have been better. I mean, this should have been better. Not just could have been, this should have been better. Roman Reigns versus John Cena. I feel like a lot of people were expecting a very good match. I mean, in ring, these are two of the best competitors. And I mean, Roman Reigns, obviously, John Cena is a very solid in ring competitor himself. I feel like people were expecting a 4-star match, 4+ star match. And, you know, they got maybe a 3.5-star match. People were expecting with Brock and Braun, two guys who have gone, who, if they booked it like this match, but slightly differently, you know, just like a quick beatdown match, which they did do, but I felt the finish was messed up. They felt like it could have been much better, and it could have been. They were expecting probably, again, a 4-star match. This one was 3. You know, I don't feel like any of the expectations here were truly unrealistic, because looking at the past body of work for each guy, they expected this. I mean, like, that's the thing. I agree. It's one thing to have unrealistic expectations. I just don't feel like any of the expectations here were unrealistic.
But then again, I do look at this from the perspective of somebody who is a very positive pessimist from it. I'm positive about a lot of things in professional wrestling, and I feel that the concepts themselves could work. But then there's the pessimist side that says, wait a minute, this could go wrong or that could go wrong. And realistically, those things could all go wrong.
Oh, of course they could all go wrong. It's just they don't want to think about what could go wrong when they see so much that could go right.
Yes, because they're obsessed about that little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They want that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and they want to use as many tactics necessary to get that little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And then that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow turns out to be a pot of lead.
Well, they want it to be a pot of gold because for a lot of people, this is their escape from the real world and all of its horrors.
Of course. This is an escape for a lot of people of the world. World of professional wrestling is an escapism thing for people who are struggling in their lives, and people who want to have that sense of enjoyment of these fantasies of this wrestler going against that wrestler, good versus evil, all of those classic, well-known trends and thought processes that are used in storylines all the time in any genre that you're in.
And I just feel like that's why I feel like people are kind of down on the show. I mean, I get, you know, like I said, I get not having unrealistic expectations, but I don't feel the expectations were unrealistic for a lot of people. I feel like, yes, I myself will admit that I ignored some possible pitfalls here. Yes, Braun Strowman has mainly had his best matches against Roman Reigns, but I still felt he had good matches outside of him. Yes, Brock Lesnar, before parts of this run, was very, very off, you know, but lately he's been on top. I mean, you know, Roman Reigns and John Cena, these are two very good workers, but John Cena hasn't always been the best in laying out match structure.
Yeah.
You know, I'll admit, I did ignore some potential issues there because I thought, based on recent bodies of work, based on their upside, I only looked at their upsides, not their downsides, because you know, I wanted this to be a good show, and I figured it would be a good show. But
so you've looked at it sort of like a hockey manager, like say if you were the GM of the Detroit Red Wings.
Don't remind me. Don't just.
I mean, honestly, I think you do a good job.
That used to be my other escape, Fizzy. Emphasis on used to be, although it still will be because I'm a Lions fan and I'm addicted to pain and disappointment. So there you
Your
go.
team is 2-1, dude.
Well, yes, they're 2-1 right now. They should be 3-0, and don't get me started on what happened on Sunday. Utter bullshit. But the Lions, I was alive for 0-16, man. My fan base knows pain and suffering.
That was such a wonderful season.
There was nothing good about that season except for it being hilariously bad. Our QB walking out of the end zone for a safety that year. That was utter bullshit.
Dan Klorzolowski was his name?
Orlowski, I think.
Orlowski, legend, perfect person. Probably could have been a starting quarterback for my team, the Bills, because if there's any team that knows pain, misery, and horrible, horrible things happening, it's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Well, there's three. The Bills, the Lions, and the Browns. They are the teams that know pain and suffering. It's why when I see other teams' fan bases complaining, I'm like, you have no fucking idea. Shut up.
Is that our two teams are 2-1 right now.
Well, yeah, of course they are. The Lions, again, should be 3-0, and I'm still mad about that. They're 3-0 in my heart. They are 3-0 in my heart, and that's all that matters. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself so I can sleep tonight.
So that was No Mercy. A show that had a lot of contrast, a show that was, I felt overall, one of the top 5 best pay-per-views I've seen this year from WWE.
I mean, I wouldn't call this a bad show, but I left feeling slightly disappointed. I mean, there was certainly some good moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I really wouldn't say there was anything bad about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, apart from the opening match being a bit of a slog, I felt as though the rest of the show was really good. I mean, the main event, yeah, there were definitely issues with it, but I had low expectations for that main event because Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman in a singles match. I felt it could either go two ways. This could be Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, or this could be Zeus versus Abdullah the Butcher in some promotion in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was that bad. I just didn't think it lived up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was No Mercy. I mean, I didn't like it as much as you did, but again, I wouldn't call it a bad show. I would say it was just a middle of the road show. It was meh.
Mm-hmm. And that has been, I guess we've covered pretty much everything today.
Yeah, I mean, Raw and SmackDown was a bunch of more meh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was some more good KO stuff on SmackDown, although I'm still regarding that with a lot of caution because I've been burned on that so many times that is like the one angle in WWE I am not letting myself get hopeful for.
Mm-hmm. Although he did murder Sami Zayn again, so okay, Sammy, why do you keep getting into fights with this guy?
Because he cares about him.
And he cares about Shane McMahon for some reason, despite the fact that logically he should be on KO's side here because he's been held back.
You think he would be, but I mean, that's the thing with Sammy. I mean, he is a good person deep down.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good person. I mean, I know we call him evil jokingly and all that, but and I know we can display some selfish tendencies at times, but he really is a good person. It's just that WWE doesn't really know how to write good people.
Yes, because they're sociopaths, psychopaths, or pure psychos, or any of the other terms of personality disorders that you can see in a therapy book. Which, okay, therapy books are available for 99 cents at the thrift store. Go buy one. Go look at the psychological, things about the world of psychology and the world of mental health. That is a very interesting thing to look at. As far as SmackDown goes, they need a new writing team because they're basically at the end of the rope at this point. And the Raw team is actually doing pretty solid, which is shocking considering at the start of the year, everybody was wanting their heads.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of things went downhill. I mean, there was so many issues with SmackDown right now. I can't even begin to name them. I will say I didn't drink as much as I did last week. I still had a drink because, again, they opened with the Jinder doing the whole pictures of Nakamura thing, but, it was still bad, but it was nowhere near as bad as last week. Good Lord, last week.
But, folks, like we said at the start of the show, Sal's got a lot of rants saved up for Two Guys, One Sport tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Crazy Chris and Curtain Jerker.
Yep. And sorry, I'll take this plug since you got the other one. And if you want to listen to our other friends who shoot right before us, Mr. Dr. Senju and Taker's Minion, Shooting Debris. They start at 11 a.m. Central Time, or 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central. I can't believe I botched that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they usually wrap up right as we get started. So if you guys want to go and give them a listen in a couple minutes after we finish up, I'd really appreciate that.
Yep, they just finished up with episode 14 of their show, and that was a very interesting experience. And we'll see you on the next edition of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling, folks. Next week, I guess we are previewing Hell in a Cell. When's that, October 8th?
Yep, October 8th. So yeah, that will be our preview of Hell in a Cell. I'm still not committed to going. I mean, I might. Part of it would be work because, you know, I mean, even if I work Sunday, I'd get off at noon, so that's not the real issue. The real issue is Mondays. I usually work Mondays, and I am not. And I usually work mornings, early mornings, as in I need to be up at 5 a.m. I'm not going to go all the way down to Detroit, come back, and get home at, like, 12:30 just so I can wake up at, 5 a.m. 5 a.m. I'm not doing that. That would suck.
But you'll have to see.
Yep.
But if you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at Fizzpatrick14.
And you can follow me at Cusmano_Sal.
And we'll see you for the next edition of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. We hope you've had a good rest of the day and a good weekend. And we'll see you next time for Hell in a Cell, folks. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.